This one time, I'm guitar teching for a band sporting the Legendary Pantera. I got very confused by technology. It nearly all went spectacularly wrong. So the venue for this particular musical travesty was the Glasgow Barrowlands, and the date was, check my show notes here, the day was the 14th of February 1993, way back in the 90s. So the Barrowlands, great venue, I played there a couple of times. It's all on the one level, you know, everybody's just sort of head height looking at the stage. There's no seats, it's all standing, big stage as well. And the band I was teching for were called Dunderfunk, band from Edinburgh. Good band, like cross between Red Hot Chili Peppers and I guess Faith No More, that kind of funk metal sort of thing. Yeah, good band at what they did. They released one 12-inch single, the Brick Cat EP. So this was 1993. Walk, I think, would have been the single, but I hadn't seen them before. They played the Barrowlands the year before, sporting Megadeth, but I wasn't at that one. But yeah, so Pantera, unbelievable. Anyway, so what happened was the guitarist from Dunderfunk, Hazy, he had this. I mean, for the time, I guess it was cutting edge. I mean, it was so cutting edge, I didn't know how it worked. That's hence the story today. So was it an Art SGX 2000 or something like that? I mean, there was probably more technology involved in that than there was in sending a man to the moon. So I'd never seen one before, never used one, but you know, sort of what Hazy used. It was, I think he just got it as well. I wasn't overly keen on the sound of it myself. I was still using Marshall JCM 800s. So I'm teching for Dunderfunk. So sound check's finished. I didn't tune the guitars at that point. Hazy was obviously tuning the guitars, and this was before like you got wee clip-on tuners, you know, snarks. There's no snarks in it like that. So he was just using this art thing to tune his guitar. A funny thing was when Dunderfunk finished sound checking. Now Minnie's kit, Minnie was a drummer out of Dunderfunk. Named Minnie because he was quite a wee guy, and his kit was quite small as well. So his kit's on the floor, and behind it is Vinnie Paul's kit, like on a big drum riser, man. It looked so funny, just this tight. It's like a toy drum kit in front of Vinnie's huge bloody kit. But what happened after soundcheck, Pantera came out and they were looking at Minnie's kit, you know, pointing at it, going, "Oh man, look at that! This is so cute." And Vinnie sat behind the kit. I'm sure they were spraying like spray foam or something like that. I'd love to see some pictures of it. They were the crew were taking pictures of them having a laugh behind Minnie's drum kit. I don't know if Minnie was laughing, but anyway. So fast forward to 30 minutes before showtime, and Hazy says to me, backstage at the Barrowlands, Hazy says to me, "Could you go and check my guitars, Dunsy? Could you go and make sure it's in tune?" Now, back in those days, I was still smoking, if you know what I mean. So, you know, things are quite mellow. And if I'm being honest, I was maybe a bit confused with matters anyway. I was like, yeah, I'll go and tune that. So I walk onto the stage of the Barrowlands. Now, I've played there a couple of times. It's quite nerve-wracking playing a big gig in front of like 2,000 people. But what was more nerve-wracking was walking on stage, and all the lights were still on. You know, showtime hasn't started. And everybody's staring at you. You know, the lights are on, you're on stage, and there's like 2,000 people there, all staring at you going, "What's this guy doing?" So, I mean, I think I was shaking a bit. You know, I was a bit nervous. I was like, right, keep it together, Dunsy, keep it together. Like I say, I was kind of on the mellow side of mellow. And I get Hazy's guitar, and it's plugged into a foot controller. Was it an X15? Or was that a fighter plane? I don't know, X15 or something. Foot controller out the front of the stage. So I had to walk to the front of the stage, plug the guitar in, and at least I had a thing that says input, so I knew where the guitar went. And meanwhile, you know, people in the crowd are shouting up. Can't remember what they were shouting, but I think they were being a bit rude. They were shouting, "Hey, look at you!" And I've got Hazy's guitar around my neck, and I think, right, I'll plug this in, get it tuned up. Plug it in. What happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing happened at all. It was at that point I realised I don't know how this thing works. You know, I strum a few chords, nothing. And I think people in the, like I say, you're not far from the crowd. So they were sort of watching this going on. I think it didn't take them long to work out that I didn't know what I was doing, you know, at all. And I'm sure there was people shouting even worse things, get on with it. And so I walked back to the amp and it's switched on. I mean, I can see there's a power light on it, but there's like a bazillion controls. And I was, you know, absolutely lost, strumming away, not a sound. Meanwhile, the clock's ticking down to stage time, and it's like, what do I do here? I thought, oh no. So I hung about for ages, you know, pressing everything I could, and I still couldn't get any sound. And eventually I had to shamefully walk back to the dressing room. Abby says, how's the guitar? And I said, I can't work it. I don't know how it works. Dear oh dear. And I think by this point, maybe about 5 minutes to stage time or something, because I'd been, you know, almost wandering around in a circle, all confused, going, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So I had to admit to the band that I hadn't checked anything. So then Harvey, 5 minutes before he's actually due to go on stage, he has to go up on the stage and then actually hit the button that made the sound work. Ding, 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 and then he tuned up. And but dear, like one of these occasions where time seems to go really fast, you know, things are sort of spiraling out of control. It's like you're on a train, running down a runaway train down the track, and you can't get off, you know. It just seemed to go really fast. And I thought, if I don't get this fixed, you know, they're going to walk on stage. And for all I knew, maybe the amp wasn't blooming working. So anyway, Abby comes up and has to check it. I think he just looked at me and shook his head, you know. I don't think that was the last time I maybe teched for Dunderfunk. So there you go. I mean, you mix technology with somebody like me who's not a technological type person, and your show could go terribly badly. And on to Pantera. I mean, they were so good. And it was amazing being on stage. Well, it wasn't amazing being on stage when I couldn't get things working, but it was amazing being on stage, seeing Dime's stuff. You know, you could look behind these amps. I mean, they weren't all plugged in, I must say. Seeing his guitars in a rack and stuff like that, right next to them. I didn't touch them. It was before phones as well, not before phones. The phone was invented in the 1800s by a Scottish guy, I think. But it was before people had like mobile phones. So I don't even know. I wish I'd got a picture of me standing next to Dime's guitars. I mean, I wouldn't have touched them. I'd probably have got, you know, got myself in a lot of trouble for that. But I wish I had a photograph of me standing next to Dimebag's gear. But Pantera were unbelievable. When Pantera played, we because we had access to various passes, because we were obviously with the support band, we got to stand behind the mixing desk, right against the back wall. And I swear to God, man, it was like the wall was moving. Pantera was so loud and powerful. You could feel the wall shaking. They were absolutely unbelievable. And I read, when you go into setlist.com, it said that Grunt Truck, hope I said that properly, Grunt Truck, played the gig as well, but I don't remember Grunt Truck. Better be careful, I'll get done on YouTube for swearing. Grunt Truck. I don't remember them playing. I think it was only Dunderfunk and Pantera at that show, but it does say that Grunt Truck were the tour sport, but I don't remember them playing the Barrowlands show. So there you go, folks. This one time I was guitar teching for a band who were sporting Pantera. I couldn't work anything out. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Privilege and a pleasure bringing you content and me talking rubbish on Dunsy's Guitar World. Cheers for now.